In the wake of Tia Corine and Flo Milli releasing this new song and visual together, which looks really cute and really fun, I just really want to urge black women to employ some caution when it comes to supporting this one right here. So let me start with my introduction to Tia Corine, which would have been around, I guess, 2022 with the release of that song Freaky T, which was really catchy, really fun. I thought her voice sounded really new and different, and I really enjoyed her alternative sound and style and all her video game references, just her whimsical e-girl persona overall. When I tell y'all, I love any song that sounds like it could be in the background of an old Sonic or Pokemon game. So she definitely got my attention. So visually, I did not know what her racial background was, and we all know the privilege that that alone provides one in this life. Then I noted her use of the N word throughout many of her songs, and I was like, is she biracial or what's going on here? And apparently, other listeners were starting to wonder the same thing because they would ask her about her background on Twitter, and her response was always some variation of this breakdown. So, hearing her presenting as racially ambiguous, plus she herself admitting that at the most she may be like a quarter black. Hmm. And another red flag for me was just how agitated she would get when people pushed back on this description she was providing about herself. And anytime that you try to name that something simply ain't adding up, you will be met by a wave of fans with low racial self esteem defending her, plus her herself getting a little snappy. So, a lot of tweets that were part of this conversation have now been deleted. Imagine that. But here's one that I was still able to find just to give you an idea of some of her responses. And then there's this. So, this was her response to a black user saying that they didn't feel comfortable with her using the N word. And here she is, as recent as last year, citing the well known, outdated white supremacist one drop rule for why she has the right to say the N word and why she has the right to identify as a black woman. And I think a lot of it is she's trying to do that thing that a lot of multiracial and biracial people do, and y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. This is a typical response when you tell them that they are multiracial or biracial at a time when it's not convenient for them to stand in that identity, and they act dense and get defensive and say you're trying to denounce their blackness altogether, when in reality it's I'm saying you're A plus B and not just B, and that's okay. And most of them were totally cool with this, couldn't wait to tell you they were mixed pre 2020 Black Lives Matter era, but that's tea for another day. And it's meant to do nothing but to keep them centered and to derail very valid concerns that unambiguously black women have about erasure. And in this context, concerns about black alternative girls having a harder time breaking into the scene. But this situation in particular makes me think of the Janae Aiko fiasco from like 2020. Y'all remember that article where she talked about her not having as much black heritage as she thought after doing one of those ancestry DNA tests, and then from there deciding to refrain from using the N word? But yeah, I also have some other thoughts about the way she engages unambiguously black women, as it sometimes comes off as fetishy or overcompensating, and just also her being invited to exclusively black events and spaces. But I'll just end it here for now. So, y'all let me know what y'all think.